In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. Looking for the right answers to hard and sometimes confusing global events? Look no further. SSM's team brings unique perspectives from across the globe. Our in-depth independent reporting is to make you better understand the world as we evolve.
Yes, viewers around the world, you are welcome. You are welcome to SSM this beautiful Friday morning here in Milan, Italy. My name is Mark Godwin Iweajunwa, and I'm here with Ogbeni Olayinka Raji from Lagos, Nigeria. Raji, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, viewers around the world. Welcome to our Friday program.
Yes, indeed. We are hearing what we had the most from most social handle is this second anniversary of APC. They say APC second anniversary, APC second anniversary. Meanwhile, a few hours ago, we saw a village being taken over by so-called bandits, and we saw people running for safety in Benue State, Makurdi. So what is this thing about second term, Raji? How is Bola Tinubu's second term so far from your rating?
First term, you mean? First term.
2 years. I mean, 2 years anniversary. Yes, 2 years anniversary.
My evaluation will be based on the situation of things when he came in and the situation of things as they are now. Talking about just what you mentioned about banditry, since Tinubu came in, Amnesty tells us that more than 10,000 people have been murdered, killed by bandits, displaced from their villages, and then thrown into disarray. That is 10,000 people. We are not talking about chicken. We are talking about people. So far, so many barracks have been overtaken by bandits. And I'm talking about army barracks. Talking about security. Security situation has worsened since Tinubu came in. Much worse has been the economic situation. Most Nigerians are on.
Hold tight there.
Okay.
Yeah, but Raji, because this crucial 2 years anniversary. So George from Toronto, Canada, George Chuku joins us. George, good morning.
Good morning, Massive Mark, and good morning, Olayinka Raji. How are you guys doing? Good morning. And viewers from around the world, welcome you to our Friday International Updates.
Thank you, George. George, it's Friday, like you said, it's International Update, but there is a background noise somewhere. There is something that is important that we need to talk about before we move on to those international updates, and that's Bola Tinubu's 2 years anniversary. It's been a week-long affair. He came to Lagos to kick it off, and all over. When I look around social handles, everybody is talking about Bola Tinubu's 2 years. I even have the major milestone leaflet that was sent to SSM. They say 40 years, 40 major milestone. But before we come to those milestones, George, how will you assess the 2 years of Bola Tinubu?
Ideologically, or let's say, realistically, there is nothing you can say that he has done that resonates with the people, per se. The reason is it's not lack of good good what I will call good ideas that are being brought up, but there are some issues that are involved in those whatever in the application of those ideas. Number one, you've mentioned this before. They talked about the subsidy being a good idea and all that. Nobody has ever. We have all said that subsidy, yes, indeed needed to be gone. Most of the political contestants during the presidential political time actually said so. But what we are saying is the application. And most of the ideas they brought forth, both by international World Bank and all those type of ideas that they are forcing them to implement, they can be good ideas, but you can't take what works for America right now as they are, based on the years of their civilization and the application of the democracy, and then want to shove it out onto Nigeria at this age and time. You cannot do that. You have to learn how to be able to apply those things in order to work. So when it comes to subsidy, it was a disaster. Up until today, we don't know how much we're saving from the subsidy. Up until today, we don't know where the money that is being saved is going to. Up until today, we are still debating whether they are paying subsidy or not. So how can you call that a success? It is not a success. So that alone, now you talk about inflation. You talk about the monetary system.
George, let's be doing it pari passu, like they say. Raji was bringing the side of the security. Okay. So, yes, before you came in, I wanted this just be part of it. So, Raji, tell us those loopholes, hitches in our security that you were discussing earlier.
It seems as if the government is interested in ensuring that there's security across the country. It doesn't seem as if. Otherwise, I would have expected that first and foremost, there should be no IDP camps anywhere in the country at this time. At this time, after a year, after 2 years, I don't think there should be any IDP camps anywhere across the country. All the people who have been displaced into IDP camps are supposed to have been resettled in their original locations. And if those original locations have been taken over by some aliens, then something has to be done about those aliens. No country can allow aliens or people to move from one place and come and displace other people from their ancestral homes, ancestral farmlands. This has affected food production, affected so many things across the country. Amnesty is telling us that since Bola Tinubu came in, more than 10,000 people have been killed, village civilians mainly, children, women, and adults. It's rather saddening. With all the noise that the president is making, if security is not ensured, there can be no progress in the country.
With all the noise that the administration is making, if security is not ensured, there will be no progress. Let me just list through some of what they sent to me as 40 major milestone of this administration. It says they launched Nigerian Educational Loan Fund. They launched Nigerian Educational Loan Fund, offering free loans to 500,000 students. Raji, I don't know how true that is. Number two is the unified exchange rate to stabilize the naira and boost investors' confidence. This is one of those milestones APC is saying Tinubu has done. Number three is the increased oil production to 1.61 million barrels per day. They removed fuel subsidy, saving $10 billion in expenditure annually. They reduced debt service to revenue ratio from 96% in 2022 to 40% in 2024. And again, is they increased government revenue to 6 trillion in its first quarter. So, Reggie and George, these are some of the things. It's 40 actually. I just listed 6. It was sent to us here, milestones that have been done by this government. Let's look at it one after the other. George was talking about the oil subsidy that we do not really understand. Raji, okay, I think George network went off there. So what do you say about the oil subsidy, Raji? Is it
let's go back a few steps.
Okay.
Before Buhari came in, he had insisted that subsidy was a scam and that there's no subsidy at all being paid. Now, was it earlier this week, one of those people who were benefiting from the subsidy scam was jailed for 14 years or so, having been found out to have stolen more than 1 billion naira. Now he's just one of the people who are benefiting from the scam. The former governor of Bauchi State had insisted on national TV that they are making too much money from this subsidy scam, because it was a scam. A lot of people would just go and issue an invoice to the government that they have imported so much petroleum products into the country, and there was no serious interrogation of
evidence to prove.
Yes, and they were taking billions. So the man who has just been jailed was just a scapegoat, because he doesn't seem to have been part of the inner caucus that were using the scam. So subsidy ab initio was a scam. That's why we can never be able to say how much they are saving from it, because those who are suffering from the scam, most of them are in government now, and they have to protect themselves.
Okay, George, before you come in, thank you, Raji. You said that so well. George, before you come in, our numbers are climbing up here, so I need to tell the new viewers what we're discussing. Viewers, today's Friday, International Update, SSM, but we're talking 2-year anniversary of Bola Tinubu's administration. And what we have here in this studio is a 40 major milestone they say they've done. George, one of those milestones again includes, he says, secure of 8 billion new investors in all sector. But George, you and I saw how companies were leaving Nigeria. A lot of foreign companies that have been in Nigeria for a long time now. During these 2 years, we saw them leaving. I mean, you know this. So do we really conclude that there has been good investors interests since Bola Tinubu came in?
Well, like I say, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? When the foundation is faulty, the problem is the wisdom of application. Many good ideas are flying all over the place, and these good ideas are not being implemented systematically in order not to hurt the public. So what we have seen so far is trial and error. And most of the time, these ideas that are being brought to our people are being implemented without practical application on how to ease it upon the people without it causing havoc at the beginning. So the scent and the smell of all these applications are still there. People are still suffering. So if you ask me whether there has been a lot of investors coming in, most of them are nothing but MOU that they are doing. But we haven't seen anything that we can tangibly say today in 2 years of the administration that this is something that they have really achieved, that we can boast of, put our fingers on it and touch it and say, real. That's the problem. Most of the time, they are on defensive. The government have been on defensive. They don't tell you practically. They even form their own statistical analysis in order to reduce the inflation. Inflation is much higher than what they are saying, but they find an alternative way of applying the inflation, in our own country to make it to be 23%. But it's much higher than that. Inflation is about 45% still in Nigeria today. So what we are saying is all these things are nothing but narratives, but it's alternative, because when you go down to the nitty gritty and find out from the people that all these decisions are supposed to be affecting positively, the negative impact from the very foundation of this administration is still resonating with the people. And that's all we can say for now. This is akin to somebody you meet a woman today and you marry them tomorrow. You say love at the first sight. That it doesn't work most of the time. It doesn't work. You can't bring this, the fuel subsidy, because everybody crying about it that it needs to go, and you did not sit down to study, the impact it's supposed to have on the people, and you come and just open your mouth and say fuel subsidy is gone. You cannot do that.
You cannot do that. Okay.
Yes. No, but it has been done.
Well, that's what I'm saying, now, because it is done.
Yes. So let's talk. Mark, you mentioned about foreign exchange, putting the foreign exchange to merging the foreign exchange between the black market and the official market.
Yes.
How does merging the two result in the official rate being more than twice the black market rate? I don't understand the magic.
Yeah,
because the official rate was about 400 and something naira today, and the black market rate was supposed to be 700 plus. So how come the now official rate now is 1,500? I don't understand. I read the engineering. I don't understand the magic of that.
Okay, let me speak on that for a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, one of the major issues is, it's really a dicey situation, when you think about it. What they did was, when they did this particular, implemented this particular thing, to merge both the local, black market and the official rate, it actually worked. Because I do send money to Nigeria a lot. It actually worked. Originally, we used to use some of these malams to change money and all that kind of stuff. But what they did was they go to the central bank, they buy it at a cheaper rate, they come and they sell it with huge profit. So what they did in this particular situation is to merge it. And when they merged it, if you go to the Google today, and then put Nigerian naira and Canadian dollars or US dollars, you will see that the rate that is being offered officially in Nigeria and internationally is almost the same. It may be a few naira difference. Originally, it didn't used to be that way.
What is the value?
Well, the value is the international value is what I'm telling you. The exchange rate value is par with international, monetary system. It didn't used to be that way, but now it is. But the only problem is causing issues in Nigeria itself, because a lot of people are not able to go to the bank anymore and get their money. You have to go through people where you have to pay in order to get your money. It is helping internationally, but it's not helping locally. That's one of the major disadvantages of that.
I really don't understand. Like I said, I read engineering, and I'm particularly interested in the engineering of how 400 naira and then 700 naira parity will get to 1,500, and that will be beneficial internationally. I don't understand.
Okay.
Okay, George, don't worry, George. It's okay. It's hard to explain some of these things anyway, because there's a way people do their own achievement. There's a way they see it.
Just one point, Mark. I was in Ghana in September last year. The exchange rate was about $1 to 16 cedis. $1 to 16 cedis. As at this morning, it's $1 to about 11 cedis. What has happened?
Okay.
So those are the movements that I understand.
Okay.
That in fact the Ghanaian cedi has now risen in value to
risen in value.
Yes.
To
Initially, 1 naira was probably about 10 cedis. 1 naira was about 10 cedis. Now 1 naira is less than 50 pesos.
Can you imagine? Okay. So I get you, Raji. George, it's good you're trying to explain it, but believe me, sometimes you can't explain Nigeria.
It's magic.
Factors. But let's look at what we had there earlier, viewers, is the 40 milestone, they say, major milestone of the renewed hope administration, Bola Tinubu's administration. Now, there is this one that says they freed a lot of kidnapped captives. If you look at that list, but this morning, and they say also 13,500 terrorists and criminals have been neutralized. As of this morning, the people of Benue State, Makurdi, and another community are all running. I don't know if you all have seen that clip. It's all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Village Makurdi resident running because bandits have invaded their town. And Bola Tinubu is telling us that he has been able to checkmate terrorists and criminals that have been neutralized. George, is the effort enough? That's the question. He might be doing something, but does he need to add more effort into that?
Well, if you ask me, I think he has a heart to stop these things. But practically, it is not being implemented the way it's supposed to, or with the force it's supposed to. Nigeria, as we stand, we are in a war with the terrorists, a war with the Boko Haram. But we have not declared a state of emergency in any of these states where they are causing havoc. If these people are serious, they will actually involve international affiliation or collaboration with another to give the equipments that are needed to annihilate these people. But it's a catch-22 type of situation because there are so many people that are gaining because of the existence of this Boko Haram and some of these terrorist groups, because they are protecting something else for them in some Sambisa forest. So for you to be able to annihilate most of them, that means that those businesses that they are protecting, this mining that they are protecting, will be left empty and the world will know about it. So it's a catch-22 type of situation. If you want to stop that the Boko Haram from operating and doing everything, look at the systematic way they are doing it. Most of them will join Boko Haram. When they are starving, sexually, they will come and kidnap young girls and use them as a way. And most of the time, even the northerners, the ones that are captured as Boko Haram, they say they have been rehabilitated. They will go and marry thousands of women to these people, do a mass marriage. You people are not paying attention to what is really going on. That's exactly what's happening. They don't want to annihilate them because to them, whether they come from Niger Republic, from Ghana, as long as they are Fulani people, they are their brothers. So they have more allegiance to that than Nigeria itself. So they will make sure that these young people are being taken care of by giving them young ladies, doing mass marriages, and you call them rehabilitation. And yet, Nnamdi Kano is still locked up. That's all I'm saying.
But let me say something about that. Most of them are not Fulani, but their leaders are. The Fulani will use the local people as cannon fodder. So most of them, those who are being rehabilitated, they are either local people or Hausa. The Fulani are the head of the operation.
The Fulanis are the head of the operation. Raji, you're telling us a new one now. Okay, viewers, this is it. I think we've done our own side of the 2 years anniversary of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. We've looked at the 40 milestone he says he has done, and we've been able to see through and say, okay, he's making some efforts, but we say we both conclude that he needs to do more. Is that not so, George and Raji?
That's right. Yes.
More things to be done. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's come now to some international news. Finally, we knew this will happen, but we didn't know it will happen this soon. The bromance between President Donald Trump and his friend, the billionaire tech guy Elon Musk, looks like is going the other way. Yes, Raji, you're laughing. Elon Musk announced his departure from the U.S. president administration. He used his ex social handle to declare that there's a controversial government cost-cutting measure that he planned, but he doesn't seem to be winning on it. He said he's leaving the administration that he had led for some months in cutting costs for the government. Gentlemen, what do you say? Let me start with Raji that was laughing. Raji, it looks like Trump and Elon. I knew it to happen, but we didn't know it would be this soon. Have you?
When George mentioned something about love at first sight, and that it doesn't normally last, I chuckled to myself because I remembered the love between Elon Musk and Trump. They are two very, very different people. Okay. While Elon is methodical in his ways, Trump just throws himself around everywhere. And as Elon Musk was trying to cut costs, Trump has brought in some expenditure of over 39 billion onto the same process. This was something Elon Musk was trying to reduce. So in fact, they are not birds of the same flock. So I don't see how they could be flocking together. So it's not surprising that their love affair has broken down so soon.
Okay.
I hope it will not degenerate into hatred, because that's what happens with love at first sight.
Absolutely. Okay, George, before you speak, let's see the clip of him making a general announcement to the press.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
Yes. So that was Elon saying that what he came to do is being undermined by what they have in mind doing, what the government is still doing. George, tell us. The romance is over.
Take a look to the last man standing and tell me who it is that have joined this man ever since he started his presidency, that is still standing, that have not lost something or some kind of way got at us with him at the end. Tell me one who did not end up going to jail or maybe losing everything they have for some reason or the other. But Trump is the last man standing. Tell me why. I don't know. Listen, just because Elon Musk is a genius when it comes to running his businesses, the spacecraft, Tesla and all those type of things, It doesn't mean that when you bring him into the government that he will also do. He got some good ideas when they brought to him and gave him some of these issues that they are facing. Excuse me, governmentally. He applied what he knew, and that's what they call, I think it's called Doge. Yes, but you cannot bring a medical doctor to come and fix economic issues. So that is exactly what they did, and they met with a whole lot of stiff resistance from the public. That because a lot of cost costing issues are taking place, and they say they're going to save trillions of dollars, which they did not. So at the end of these 100 days, it was a disaster, and he had to go. But the thing was, Trump learned something from Elon Musk, and that is the love for cryptocurrency and a way to hide your money. So you can get bribed and money will be flowing in there and nobody will know it, as long as you have your way to access your billions and nobody will know how much. And that's something that he succeeded in doing, and he's gone. Trump will continue with it. Because if you see what's happening with cryptocurrency in US right now, it is a government of US that is really benefiting, and that's the Trump administration, he himself and his family. So that's exactly what is happening. So he's done his job, explained it to Trump. Trump understood it. Now he's running with it. So Elon Musk can go back and fix all the wounds, that have been caused based on affiliation with Trump. That's what he's doing. He's licking his wounds.
Yeah, Raji, you said something very, very strong. Raji, you said you hope this doesn't lead to some more bitter animosity, bickering, which normally happens when there is this kind of breakdown relationship. But will this not be dangerous for Trump's administration? You listen to where I'm going. Elon Musk now understands a lot of underground, back end things happening in the government, and he's a genius. Some Congress people said this when he came in, that Elon Musk will be seeing some back end of their activities, and that's risky also security wise to the government. So do you think that if Trump does anything funny to him or goes beyond now, he could shut down the government one way or the other? Raju, what do you think?
I don't think so. In fact, there's what we call mutually assured destruction. If Elon Musk makes certain moves, he could be destroyed by a government, because government is powerful. Government is powerful. No matter how much you know about government can easily shut you down.
The point is this. Trump is an unleashed president, unleashed. So there is no leash on him. So Elon Musk knows how dangerous Trump can be, because you wake up tomorrow morning and just say something and shut down everything, and then let's go to court and fight it. So Elon is not gonna. He might, he himself is unhinged in a lot of areas. So he might make some comments, but there will be a private phone call to stop the madness by Trump, and Trump will do it. So it's not a man that you can just come and just openly want to fight with and do something. He will wake up tomorrow and do something that is crazy and say, no more Elon Musk cars in United States. You cannot ship, you cannot buy it, and he can do something like that. Trump is unleashed. He's unhinged. So I think Elon Musk will respect himself to a degree.
Wow. Guys, we are talking. Viewers, you're listening. We are doing the talk. You are listening. So we're here on our Friday International Update, SSM. I, George, and Raji were here today, the 30th of May. Let's do a small break, gentlemen. Let's do a small break, and we'll be back. Thank you.
Elevate your new week, fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis and the most attention-grabbing lines, deciphering world events. Hook up to SSM Monday program Between the Lines. In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. Looking for the right answers to hard and sometimes confusing global events? Look no further. SSM's team brings unique perspectives from across the globe. Our in-depth independent reporting is to make you better understand the world as we evolve.
All right, gentlemen, you're welcome back. George, Raji, beautiful outing here today. Let's come to something also happening in another parts of Europe. Poland is holding its presidential runoff election. I think that will be June the 1st on Sunday. Poland is very, very somehow it affects Europe. So this election actually has some global implications to it. Because Trump also he's rooting for a particular candidate. But generally, gentlemen, it's about Russia, who's an ally to Russia, who's with Russia and all that. So my question to you guys, as Poland goes to its election, is why does Russia affect Europe? Why do everything center on this country, Russia? Raji, I know it's one of your beloved countries. Tell us.
Historically, Russia has been instrumental to the progress of Europe, to the security of Europe. Russia might have lost more than 27 million people during the Second World War. They put their lives on the line to save Europe. Russia is part of Europe, and it is better for the Europeans to look into history about how Russia has been instrumental to their unity, to their security, and collaborate more with Russia than they are allowing American interests to interfere in their relationship with Russia. Now, since the unbundling of the USSR, America had made sure that every president of any of the old satellite countries of Russia, of USSR, has, if the president is not favorable to America, that president has been deposed. The US has invaded Russian former USSR territories to impose their preferred candidate. The same thing happened to the guy who was before this comedian Zelensky came in. It has happened in almost all the other places. It has happened even in Poland. And I don't know why US meddlesomeness is. Europeans will be better for them to collaborate with Russia. They belong to the same continent and they share security issues. It is better for them.
Thank you, George. The one thing we're also seeing is that Europe says they've lifted long-range restriction on Ukraine. So this means that Europe now supports Ukraine to blow into Russia and do whatever they can, because our man is not heeding to any ceasefire plan. So what do we see with this, George? Do we see this war escalating instead of coming down?
I was in Poland, I think it was 2 years ago. And, and I was able to discuss quite a few number of these, issues, because the war in Ukraine was still going on when I was there. what you will see largely with with most of them is that they were afraid that if Ukraine is allowed to be annexed by Russia, that the next one will be Poland.
Okay.
They were afraid of it. And you talk to a lot of their elite, they will tell you this is our fear, that they will not allow Russia to annex Poland, because if they Ukraine, because if they do, the next one in line, according to them and their belief, will be Poland, that Russia will come after Poland. So, and that's one of the major issues that they were having then. But as it stands right now, also, you will see that the interest between the two world leaders, US and Russia, is still at play here. A lot of people would rather be with Europe against Russia, because US is against Russian invasion of Ukraine. So they rather stay with them, and that's why you see this politics playing. Who is it that is going to come in now? Would it sound with Europe and US against Russia, or would the person who will be sensitive to what Russia is doing come and want to fall in love with Putin? That, and then that means that they're going to be against European support and the US support of Ukraine. So that's what you're seeing basically happening right here. So how it's going to turn out, I'm not quite sure.
So the man you're seeing there is called Nowaraki. That's the man Trump is rooting for to win this election. He's the second. There are just two contestants remaining now. What that means is because he aligns with the United States policy, and he also wants support from the United States. But the other man is called Transzewski. Transzewski, that's the one on your, if you're watching, the one on your left-hand side in the screen. So he is a Trump, a Putin ally. And somehow he has also gained the favor of China and Russia. So we are seeing two things play out here now. Two people, two allies, two foes, and all that. But at the end of it all, Raji, whoever wins on Sunday, what matters the most is lead the people. Bring good life to the people of Poland. That's what matters. I mean, not war.
All the fear mongering that have been put into the heart of these Europeans is from the US.
Okay.
Russia, after 1994, had no intention of going beyond its borders. It was only interested in protecting its sphere. It was actually not even interfering in the affairs of all those satellite towns. It was actually US who was interfering in all those things, ensuring that anti-Russian sentiments were whipped up and fear was brought in. There's no way. In fact, Russia did not have any intention of annexing Ukraine. Russia has taken over Crimea, and they have access to a warm port, and they were okay. They have no intention whatsoever, because inside Ukraine there are more than 40% ethnic Russians, and therefore there was no reason why they should go to war. They have gotten the warm port they wanted, and they were okay until the comedian came in, and he was persuaded to fight Russia until the last man, and then it's up to that. He has put Ukraine into slavery for the next 100 years.
Okay. It's getting interesting. George, let's go further with some other news from your end. We see now that America is looking like they are closing their borders to even students. During the week, Marco Rubio says that the US will begin to revoke visas to Chinese students. George, does this look good? Because a lot of students want to come to school in the United States. What we saw yesterday is that these universities in the UK now look like they are getting more numbers. And
they will get more numbers. And number one is part of the problem that the U.S. administration was having is that Trump wakes up in the morning and whatever he feels like doing, he will just put it on the on the social media, and that becomes a law, and everybody fears or angry over that. You see, the point is this: Marco Rubio is nothing but a puppet.
Okay,
a puppet to the degree that he is being used. And look at since he started. I mean, most of the function he's supposed to be having as Secretary of State, the Vice President was the one having it. And one of the major issues we have is something came out from a news from I think the New York Times was saying that Trump's son was denied admission in most of these major universities like Harvard and the rest of them, and that's Trump's anger. And to a degree, it could be true. It could be true. Now, because these people, they are reputable news organizations, without authenticating what they say, they will not say it because they can become liable. So it is very likely that it's because of Trump's son being denied admission in some of these universities that Trump is going after them and deciding to destroy, the Harvard University. The war is on now. I mean, a lot of other universities. So, the thing is this: self-interest is really what is playing a lot in the United States today. It's no longer the people's interest, but self-interest comes first. Then, if he aligns with the people, good. If he doesn't, go to hell. That's what the administration is doing, because it's so difficult to work under Trump and know how to defend him unless you become like him. Because no reasonable individual can actually work for Trump and be able to come to the public and defend a lot of decisions that he's making. And that's what's happening with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Most of the things he's doing, he hates it. He cannot stand most of the things he's doing, but he has no choice. If he wants to remain in that post, he must do as Emperor Trump said, or else you're out the door.
Yeah, right.
You must do
that's what it is.
Trump says, or else you're out the door. But you see, what will happen the most is these Chinese students that are now being targeted. Obviously, Harvard has increased its intake, and I know how much United States makes from education of international students. A lot. So Trump is not looking at all of that. He's probably, because I heard this thing you said, and it's true. I think to a large extent it's true, because you can't give that kind of information mostly when it pertains to the president. Now, what we know is universities like that don't just admit students because you are the son of so. You must get to that criteria. You must be academically very, very, very sound. So we don't know why all of this, but this is it. Viewers, we are talking Friday, the 30th of May, our international updates. Gentlemen, let's come to something. I don't know if Raji is following that too. Hundreds of starving Palestinians stormed Gaza food warehouse. This is the report United Nations is bringing. Now, they are now turning their back against Gaza, the Gaza militants. Raji, Palestinians are now against this so-called militant. They call them militant now. And they are going into their warehouse, taking the food, because they have stocked those food long ago. And the owners of the land say they are famished, they are hungry. Why would somebody come and pack up food? Raji, do you have that story? Do you have the story?
Why are you blaming? Who are the militants that you are blaming now? There's an embargo on even food supplies and food, water, electricity coming into Gaza. It is a deliberate action by the Zionists, by the Israeli people.
No,
They are deliberately not Hamas. They are deliberately starving the people in Gaza to death. It's deliberate genocide. The United Nations is not doing anything about it. They are supported by the US. Recently, we understood that China broke the embargo and dropped food aid in Gaza. There's no way the Hamas will be starving its own people. So don't please.
Well, the videos we've seen, I will play one, but there's a particular one that they were calling out Hamas for stock keeping those things. And let's see this one.
ياجوج وماجوج ياجوج وماجوج ماتوا من الجوع حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ياجوج وماجوج حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل على كان السبب حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل.
Okay, because Israelis can't come to the Palestinian land, to Gaza, and stockpile food. Do you understand? You can't do that. I mean, this is another man's territory. So it is.
There's no food coming in. Which man's territory are you talking about? Gaza is under embargo, under complete.
No, you're not getting the news. The news is that there are storage facilities inside
you are getting
Gaza.
the news that you want to give out.
No, hear this.
The disinformation that the Israeli people are giving out. That's what you are interested in. So you are blaming Hamas. Hamas cannot be stockpiling food. Hamas personnel have been targeted regularly by the Israeli occupation forces in Gaza. Gaza is an occupied territory, and the Zionists are ensuring that the people are starved to death.
Well, two opposites.
I will not. It's not actually opposite. We have seen it. Even Benjamin Netanyahu, in a statement, basically kind of agreed with what Olayinka Raji is saying. There's been a lot of underhandedness in this particular systemic destroying of these people, which is so wrong. It is very, very, very wrong. I mean, these are innocent people. I mean, I know the Hamas did this and all that kind of stuff. They came and they killed a lot of, 1,200 people, kidnapped a lot of them and all that kind of stuff. But these are innocent people, young children, old people. And these people are being starved to death. I mean, the food that we're talking about here, they couldn't reach that place to get the food because there was an embargo. For months now, Benjamin Netanyahu is not allowing provision to go into this place, which we know is a war crime. It's not good. You got to allow people to eat, to feed children, innocent people. It is unacceptable. And what has happened is other news have taken over. We turn our faces away from them, and they are systematically being eliminated slowly. It is unacceptable. It is wrong. It is immoral and should not be allowed to happen. We have to consider the little children, innocent people. Come on. I mean, enough is enough.
For such a thing to happen,
look at this,
and for the whole world not to be dead to that immorality, indecency, is to have made the Palestinians subhuman, and that is what the Israelis teach their children in their schools. They are subhuman, they are not human, and therefore they can be eliminated. It is unquestionable.
I don't know about them teaching those sorts because
it is what they teach them. They teach their children to regard the Palestinian children as dogs, and therefore you can kill them.
Well,
Israeli snipers.
Israeli
snipers deliberately target children. Shoot them in the crotch or shoot them in the head.
You can also say the same thing
all
about
of this is happening because Hamas came into that zone and took over the leadership.
Hamas did not come to take over the leadership. It was Hamas. It was even deliberately built up by the U.S. and by the Israeli forces as a counterforce against PLO. PLO was much more acceptable until the Hamas were financed by Israel itself. I have seen a video where Netanyahu was planning all these things that would finance them as a counterforce against the same way the U.S. CIA financed Al Qaeda, the same way they financed the jihadists in Syria, the ISIS and all those things, the same way that this Mossad and the U.S. have been financing.
And most times, all of this backfires. It backfires against the financiers.
Exactly.
But the story still goes that Hamas came in, and because Hamas presence is there, it becomes my enemies, my enemy in a territory that are friend to me. But because my enemy is in that territory, I have to go after. I have to take everybody.
Hamas is become the representative of the people. The people cannot go without representatives. The PLO, which was representing them before, has been disseminated by American and Zionist propaganda. So the people have Hamas as their protectors.
So
and the war didn't start in October 7th, 2002 or 2003. The war started as far back as 1947. It is the same war that is ongoing every year, and getting weaker and weaker and weaker.
You know, can I ask a question? It's almost like what is happening in Syria now. You know, where it was actually a terrorist organization before that actually finally, you know, unseat the government, but they were under the auspices of a terrorist organization. And in the same way, it's almost like akin to Boko Haram now winning over and taking the government and causing havoc all over. My question is, can the elites in that country form their own government rather than affiliating with such, so-called named organization that is a terrorist organization? Because that's what's the major issue.
How did the terrorist organization come to be able to take over government? They are supported by American interest. That's why
I agree with you.
America now has raised the flag in Kenya.
I agree with you. What I'm asking is this. Hold tight.
Let me answer your question. Answer your question. When the government like that comes into power, the first target are the elitists who are going to be opposition to them. And therefore, they destroy those elitists. Yes. It's a simple process.
Simple process. All right, gentlemen. Let's go further to one topic. US, like I said earlier, and Europe said they've lifted a long-range restriction that was on Ukraine. And now that means that Ukraine can use some really sophisticated long-range weapons to fight in this war. I know some of those weapons long-range were given to them by UK, Britain. And so this means, George, does this mean more war? Are we going to be seeing, instead of this war stopping, we'll be seeing more dead bodies, body bags?
See, one of the major problems we have is this war has been only one-sided. Russia can use any kind of military equipment against Ukraine, and Ukraine is barred from doing that, is limited from doing that. And that's the reason why you keep on seeing what is happening. They're destroying infrastructures, they're destroying all kinds of things. Russia has been on the defensive. Ukraine has been on the defensive. If they allow them now to be on the offensive, it's going to be more catastrophic destruction, because what Russia is now saying is, if that is allowed, they will use nuclear weapon against them. So that has been the fear for the longest. That if Russia is now allowed, if Ukraine is allowed to use some of these long-range missiles against Russia, Russia promises that they will use nuclear weapon to just destroy the whole entire place. So now the question is,
Russia has no intention of using nuclear weapons.
well, you're speaking for Putin,
Russia
aren't you?
will not use nuclear weapons.
You're speaking for Putin.
Frightening.
No,
Stop
you're
scaring
speaking.
yourself.
No. You gotta place facts on the table. You have to place facts on the table.
On the table.
Which
You are not. What's his name's spokesperson? Russia.
You are
Putin does what he wants whenever he wants it. Yes, he does,
Okay.
and you know it.
Okay.
This is all American propaganda. This is all American propaganda. This is American scaremongering. Putin,
and that's the reason why they haven't stopped the war, right?
The reason Putin has no intention of using nuclear weapons because fighting Ukraine. Let me tell you, fighting Ukraine, Russia fighting Ukraine is like my granddaughter trying to fight me. No matter how much power he has, a single blow is enough for me to. So Russia cannot go after a fly with a sledgehammer. No, it's just a simple fly swap. And let me assure you,
this is your opinion.
Europe is putting themselves into danger, unnecessary danger.
This is your opinion.
Europe is almost bankrupt. What are they going to do? What are they doing? And they don't even have need for those arms, so they can ship them up to Ukraine, because before those ammunition expire in their armory, they want to ship it.
Ola Inkaraji, when you speak like that, say I believe that Russia. Don't say Russia is not, because you are not a spokesperson for them. Neither can you tell what Putin is going to do tomorrow. You don't know the man. You're just reading the news. So say, I believe that Russia is not that Russia is not. Don't say that, because we were not in their meeting yesterday.
Nuclear weapons. Russia will not use any nuclear weapons against Ukraine, because Ukraine is just a fly. And then Russia will not go after it with a sledgehammer.
Well, that's the reason why they won the war after 6 months, right? That's why. That's the reason.
No.
They plan on annihilating them in 11 days.
No, but you see, you don't seem to understand what is happening. What is the intention of Russia? Russia does not have the intention to take over Ukraine. Russia has taken over the Crimea where they needed. So what that is happening is that they are wasting Ukrainian people.
Is this what you guys discussed yesterday at the meeting?
Russia does not want to take over Ukraine.
Is that what you guys discussed yesterday at the meeting?
Oh no! Let's be serious. Let's be serious. Russia has no intention of taking over Ukraine.
Oh my God!
Because it has
lines
more widening implications.
George and Reggie, you know the lines I'm reading on this thing now, escalating instead of subsiding. I'm reading this line that America is coming in to mine and do some business with Ukraine, which will bring lots of money. A lot of European countries want to come in and do business too, but Russia want to keep the war going to stop that business activity. That's what I say.
Like my people will say, Arije Nibi Madaru, those who cause mayhem so that they can benefit from it. That's what US has been doing all over the world. That's why
Russia now is playing the very corny one by not allowing. Let this just
by not allowing that to happen. Yes.
Let people be. I mean, what's all this killing people for?
So let Europe and US take themselves out of the scene.
No. Come into the scene.
Like George mentioned before, there will have been a ceasefire if Trump has not come in, bungling in into the meeting. There will have been a ceasefire, but because they want the war on, they want the war to be ongoing. That's why they are doing everything.
No, Reggie, you're contradicting it. It is not Russia that wants the war to be going on, because it doesn't want
Russia.
Why is the one still not adhering?
Hold on. You don't know the games that they are playing. Because of the mineral resources of Ukraine, If there's a ceasefire now, they may not have easy access into Ukraine because Russia has taken over the place that they want. If there's a peace ceasefire now, it means then that the Europeans and the US will not have any reason to come in again. So they have to sustain the war. They have to make everything possible for Putin to want to go on with the war with all the things that they are doing. They are
Hey, Raji is contradicting the whole thing. Raji, you've turned up.
No. You get my point. Get my point.
But
you said
there's about $3 billion at stake that America has agreed with Ukraine. So why will somebody that's coming to give you $3 billion want to continue war when they've signed, when they have agreed that, listen, come and take mineral, come and do business with us? Obviously, they want a peace passage so that they can come in. Why will Europeans also want to come and take out of the soil, out of the mineral, want to keep war when they have nothing gaining from that? Don't you don't understand this logic?
You are not getting my point. There will have been a ceasefire now without the involvement of the US and the Europeans, but they don't want that. They want a ceasefire negotiated by them, by US and Europe.
No, okay, so, let's come on. Yeah. Raji, maybe you need to get it well. Maybe you know what you're saying somehow, but I think it's twisted in a way that you are
the one who doesn't understand the mischief that is going on between the Europeans and the US.
Wow.
So that they have easy access to the resources of Ukraine. Since Ukraine have been stupid themselves.
There's an agreement.
Since Ukraine has been stupid to have put himself into that silly agreement. That agreement was never in their favor.
No.
That agreement they signed was never in their favor.
No.
The war, ab initio, was not in their favor. They will have to be pushed into it so that they will be in a situation where they can be taken advantage of by the US and the Europeans who seemingly are fighting for them.
Let's come back next time. George and Raji, anyhow, it's been beautiful today. We've had good discussion, very good numbers to listening, following us. Viewers, we've done it 30th of May. Today is our international update. George was here, Raji was here, and we'll be here on Monday again for Between the Lines, hopefully, by the grace of God. But until then, have a beautiful weekend. Gentlemen, do you have any last words for today? Is there anything you want to add?
Well, I just want our viewers a very, very enjoyable weekend, restful weekend. Do not go into any fight with anybody. Keep the peace.
Well, I will say let there be peace around the world.
Keep the peace, yes.
Let's consider our children. Nigeria just celebrated Children's Day the other day, and we are thinking about the children also that are in Gaza Strip. Please, let's make sure that they are fed. Do not starve the children, because God doesn't like ugly. And also, we want everybody to enjoy their weekend, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and God bless our President Asiwaju Tinubu, and grant him wisdom for the next 2 years to bring in ideas that will benefit the people. Well, thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Hasta la vista. Until we come again, arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Yes.
Right.